Dear students, good morning to all of you. Today in this lecture, in this video session, we will read a poem written by R.N.Tagore. The poem is entitled Silent Steps. So before we read, let us have a brief introduction of the poet as well as the poem. About the poet Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore was born on 7th May 1861 in Kolkata. He was a famous poet, philosopher, prophet and critic. He died on 7th August 1941 in Kolkata, India. Tagore rejected formal schooling and learned much at home. He attended University College London to study law but quit before the completion of the degree. Although Tagore is famous for poetry, he did his best in writing novels, essays, short stories, plays and articles. His masterwork is Gitanjali, a collection of poems, a spiritual journey from finite to infinite. It earned him the title of mystic poet. He is the official composer of the national anthem of India and Bangladesh. In 1913, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Gitanjali. So Gitanjali is a collection of number of poems. There are a total number of 103 poems in the collection that is named Gitanjali, and this is a very superior creation of the poet, and due to this creation, this is due to the composition of these 103 poems in the book Gitanjali. The poet was awarded with Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1913. So he was the first non-British or non-English writer at the time to receive this prize. Rabindranath Tagore did not receive the formal education, and he learned everything at home. He entered in University College London to study law, but very soon he quit that university also without completion of his degree. And Rabindranath Tagore has given a natural touch to his poetry. That is why this natural touch has brought him fame and name in the field of writing, and because of his masterpiece Gitanjali, he was awarded with Nobel Prize in Literature. The present poem Silent Steps is one of the famous poems taken from Rabindranath Tagore's famous poetry collection Gitanjali, a collection of 103 poems. As we have discussed, there are 103 poems in this poetry collection named Gitanjali, and this present poem Silent Steps is one of them. The poem Silent Steps is the 45th number poem of poetry collection Gitanjali. In this poem, Tagore asks his readers whether they have ever experienced the constantly approaching silent steps regardless of age and time. So this is a philosophical poem. It has the 45th number in the collection Gitanjali, and this is a philosophical poem in which the poet has posed a question that ever people experience the constant approaching of silent steps of Almighty God regardless of their age and time. So let us enjoy the poem. Let us have the understanding or the meaning of the poetry of this piece of poem, one by one, line by line. Have you not heard his silent steps? He comes, ever comes. Every moment and every age, every day and every night, he comes, ever comes. Many a song have I sung in many a mood of mind, but all their notes have always proclaimed, he comes, ever comes. In the fragrant days of sunny April, through the forest path he comes, ever comes. In the rainy gloom of July nights, on the thundering chariot of clouds, he comes, ever comes. In sorrow after sorrow, it is his steps that press upon my heart, and it is the golden touch of his feet that makes my joy to shine. So this is a very positive poem. It has a religious touch or the positive side of the poet's faith. So in the first stanza, have you not heard his silent steps? His means God's. So God's silent steps are are being experienced by the reader or the listener or not? This is the question that is posed by the poet. So whether the listener or the reader has experienced the approaching silent steps of the god or not, that is the question. And as soon as the question is posed, the poet himself started answering the question. He assures us that he comes, ever comes. The God always comes means the God is omnipresent. The overall theme of the poem is that the poet has tried to say that the God is omnipresent or his presence is everywhere. So in the first stanza the poet asks a question whether the human being, whether the reader or the listener has ever experienced the approaching silent steps of God. But he soon replies the question and he says that, affirms us that God always comes. He comes every time, everywhere he comes. Every moment and every age. Every moment, a small period of time, or whether it is a longer period of time, whether it is a flash of second or whether it is a epoch, a longer age. Every time, every moment, God is everywhere there. Every day and every night he comes, ever comes. In many forms, God is always around us, and during the daytime as well as in the night time, and everywhere, wherever we are, we feel the presence of God and we experience that God is present everywhere and every time he comes. Many a song have I sung in many a mood of mind, but all their notes have always proclaimed, he comes, ever comes. The poet has said here in the next stanza that he has written a number of poetry, number of musical notes in different moods, in different times, but all his poetry, all his musical notes always proclaim one thing, that God always comes whenever we are in his need, whenever we call him, or we can experience his presence anytime, everywhere. In the fragrant days of sunny April, through the forest path he comes, ever comes. When it is the summer season, when it is the sunny day and the month of April, we experience his approaching through the path of the forest that comes through the forest, means with the wind we feel that God is around us and God is approaching us. So regardless of time or season, whether it is winter season, summer season, rainy season, in every season we feel the presence of God around us. So the poet has said in this line that we feel the experience, we see he is approaching towards us while it is April, while it is the month of April and the day is sunny. Through the forest, through the path of the forest, we see him approaching towards us and he is always there with us. In the rainy gloom of July nights, on the thundering chariot of clouds, he comes, ever comes. And while it is the month of July and it is the night time, we experience the rain. We see the rain and the thundering in the sky. While it is thundering in the sky, there are a number of clouds in the sky. The clouds are wandering from one place to another. So, on the chariot of these clouds, the Almighty God approaches us. He comes to us and we experience his presence there. So whether it is the summer season or it is the rainy season, whether it is the earth, whether it is forest or it is the sky, everywhere we experience his presence. In sorrow after sorrow, it is his steps that press upon my heart. It is a personal experience of the poet that whenever he finds himself in trouble, in problems, he feels that the silent steps of God are approaching to him and he gets relieved from those sorrows or those problems as soon as he experiences the presence of God around him. And it is his golden touch of his feet that makes my joy to shine. And he says that as soon as I feel the golden touch of the feet of God, he experiences the joy in his heart, and he very soon shines, or very soon there is a brightness, there is a happiness on his face. So through this poem, the poet has tried to make us understand that the God is omnipresent, and whenever we are in trouble, we feel the presence of God. God always comes to help us, to soothe us from difficult conditions, and to help us while we are in need. He comes to us and he is always around us. He takes care of us. So we can say that it is the faith of the poet that the God is omnipresent, or it is not only the faith of the poet but of the common people, that we experience the presence of God around us. We experience the presence of God in nature and in all seasons, regardless of time and age. We feel the existence of God around us. So I feel that you understood the meaning of the poem, and the message conveyed by the poet through this poem is well understandable to you. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.